I want you to succeed at things that you never thought were possible, and I want you to fail at things that you never thought were possible. But I just want you to take that failure and move forward.
This morning we're going to talk about the image of black men in our society. Black men are 6 times as likely as white men to be murder victims. They are 2.5 times as likely to be unemployed. They finish last in practically every socioeconomic measure from infant mortality to life expectancy. And some think that black men in America seem almost an endangered species. It's interesting that many people perceive black men as less intelligent, less productive, more hostile than the rest of society. We thought it would be interesting to confront these stereotypes. We have with us this morning to share their insight 3 very interesting men. Ishmael, how do you feel?
In any event, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Imperfect podcast. I am your host, L. Ray. Oh, hold on. We got echoes everywhere. That's what it is. Let me turn Marshall down immediately. That will fix that. Should be no echoes now. Marshall, give me sound.
What's up?
Any echoes now?
No, I don't.
Not you guys. They hear something that we don't hear.
Oh, okay.
There should be no echoes. Motherfucker, is there echoes? Don't talk about anal beads. Let me know if there's echoes.
Go ahead.
All right, no more echoes. We're good. That seemed to be the issue. In any event, obviously we're going to keep the theme going tonight. Kind of going through different countries and talking about different stuff that people don't know about. As far as this shirt, got this shirt today. Let me move the beads for everybody complaining about the beads. Was made by one of my boys, one of my old football teammates, Duverson. If you want this shirt, Trench Life on Facebook. And it's crazy because I give people a lot of advice throughout life, and I had a long talk with him last week just about this designing and stuff like that, and he was so receptive to it that, you know, within 5 days from that point, he had 10 new designs, and I was like, I need that right now. I need that fucking shirt right now because it's amazing. I don't know if y'all seen it from there, but there it is. Black Lives Matter, Trench Life. That's what I'm all about. The necklace, y'all can't get that, so I ain't even going to get into that. But basically the theme of tonight is we're going to be talking a lot about Haiti, kind of some misconceptions, some stereotypes going both ways, and I brought in 2 what I consider Haiti professionals. One being Harold Roy, the other one being my friend of, he's been my friend longer than I don't even been alive, for all I know, Marshall Ocampo. Basically, you guys can basically give a background. Harold, you go first on kind of what you're doing now, what you do in life, and we'll move forward with everything and kind of go as smooth as we can. Obviously, there's going to be some fun shit because we've known each other a long time, but Harold?
Definitely. Yeah, well, hey, El Ray, I just want to start off by saying just thank you for sharing your platform and let me, have the opportunity to talk a little bit about myself and the work that I do for Haiti, a country that I love. A little bit about my background. I am Haitian American. I represent the diaspora. You know, my parents migrated from Haiti way back when, I want to say late 70s, to Brooklyn, New York, where I was born, and I moved out here to Boston, where I was raised. And so a lot of my younger years, and I speak on behalf of a lot of people who are diaspora, who are first generation. I grew up in a household where my grandparents raised me, did a lot of the childbearing, and so I learned a lot about Haiti through them, through their lens and the stories that they would tell me. And, some of the things that are great and some of the things that weren't too great. which kind of delayed me from going to Haiti and experience it for myself. And so to fast forward a little bit, my first experience visiting Haiti was during, I want to say January 8th is when I went down. My grandfather had passed away. And so the last day that I was there, I was actually getting ready to leave to go back to go back home, after having the time of my life, being the first time being down there. I was at the airport when the earthquake took place. And so that kind of changed, my like my perspective, you know what I mean? That me wanting to go back and help out. And so my ambition and my passion, my newfound passion has been to go to Haiti and train in disaster preparedness and basic first aid and do so with people who are just as much as passionate as I am in doing the work. I like that pick, Ray. Thanks for sharing it. So I've been to Haiti, I want to say over 20 times, going down there, doing what I do, what I like to do, which is to teach. In the course of that time, I've had the opportunity to travel across the world. I've worked with Project Hope in the Bahamas after the hurricane that hit there. I've been to Costa Rica for the first time last year with Ray, so that was a wonderful experience. I've been doing a lot of ever since COVID, been doing a lot of work here in Boston, where we've been, doing virtual trainings for Boston schools on disaster preparedness and basic first aid, and also, going into different communities throughout the Boston area and doing the same.
You were,
so I mean,
not to cut you off, but you said you were in Haiti during the first earthquake.
Yeah, during the earthquake, 2010 earthquake. Yeah.
Oh shit!
I was there. I was actually at the airport getting ready to board my flight to go back home. And that whole thing and that whole experience took place. And so what happened was we was at the airport, the whole building started to shake, and we ran out towards the tarmac, and that's when we found out it was a earthquake. And after a few hours of aftershocks, and that's when we got on the airplane, American Airlines. After pleading with them to take us back to the States, we finally got on and went back to Miami. And my parents were still there. My mom, my uncles was there. It was 4 days until I heard anything from them. And so the fourth day, I heard from someone from France that called me and said, "Hey, they're fine," But we did lose a couple of family members, and since then, my passion has been to go back and teach and train. It's been my thing.
Certainly. So I mean, getting into the show was supposed to be an episode with just Harold. We were going to talk a lot about Haiti, but then I remembered this picture. Put it up for y'all. We were all in Costa Rica. As you see Harold in that picture, you see my boy McNally that jumps over people, Tomlinson, and then my other man, Jeff Similian, who's actually going to be in a future episode. And I said to them, "Where is Marshall at?" And they were like, "What you mean?" I was like, "Marshall's Haitian. Y'all motherfuckers ain't Haitian." No disrespect, but Marshall still has a Haitian passport. He actually got held in the airport on the way to this event in Costa Rica because of his Haitian passport.
Everywhere I travel.
So I said, let me get Harold some backup just in case we get some people that want to jump in and talk some trash.
Appreciate
and say, this ain't a real Haitian, podcast about Haiti. So Marshall, some background on you, my friend.
Oh man, where do I start? So like Raymond mentioned, I was born in Haiti, to a Haitian black mother and to a Chilean father, a white father. And I left when I was 2. I was raised in Chile in South America. And I left there when I was 6 and been to the States, when I was 7 and been in the States ever since. The last time I was there, it was actually just last year. I was there pretty recent. Kind of traveled a bit through the peninsula, and it was definitely, it's far more beautiful than the trip I made over there before that, where things were a little shaky. That was in 2006, and before that, it was in '98. When I was there, and so it's definitely been quite eye-opening to see how people still kind of like look at me as not being Haitian just because of the skin color.
Well, I
But
mean, so we're definitely going to get into all of that. But like, as far as what you're doing now, what are you up to now? You guys are doing crazy shit with your internet. Like,
so I teach.
man,
So I
Marsha
actually,
just disappeared. He's back now. Go ahead.
so I teach. I've been in BPS for about. I was in BPS for a good five years, and kind of like transitioned out. I'm still teaching, but now I'm in a charter school, and I'm still serving inner city youth and kind of like championing the cause in the best way possible. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past 6 years now.
Okay. So, like I said before, I touched on it, and a question to you, Harold, is: do you see a lot of like your American discrimination? Because I know I see a lot, especially like my wife talks about it a lot with Puerto Ricans. Like if Puerto Ricans are in New York, Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico just go, "Oh, you ain't Puerto Rican."
Yeah. So I mean, so my first, so when I, all right. So to be honest with you, yeah. I mean, when I first got to Haiti, I mean, it was just like I guess I had a Westerner swag. You know what I mean? Like the way I dressed, the way I talked. I remember an incident. I got out of the car because it was just too hot. We were sardine in this car, and I decided to walk because it was only a mile away. I got out, and then all you heard people saying "blanc, blanc, blanc." If you know what it means white. You know what I mean? So I was like, I didn't think they were talking about me.
I know
but
Marshall
it
knows
was
what it
just-
means.
Welcome to the club. I never
Yeah.
noticed how they call you that now.
Yeah, so I was like shocked. I was like, this kid came up. He was like, "Blanc, blanc," pointing at me. I was like, what is he talking about? And I started talking to him in Creole, but I guess, back then my Creole wasn't all that good. And it was just like, wow, these they just see me as blanc, you know what I mean? And it took me, at first I was mad, but at secondly, I mean, I got over it, and the fact that, I gotta understand where I'm coming from. I wasn't born there. I have, at the end of the day, I get to go home to the U.S. where, to them, life is good. You know what I mean? And so I looked at it at that perspective. So,
Okay.
but there are some blue-eyed, blonde hair Haitians.
Listen,
in Haiti.
hey, man, stop! You fucking up the whole episode. Stop that shit. God damn it.
Putting it out.
Marshall looks like motherfucking John Turturro. So question to you, Marshall. What are some of the biggest stereotypes that there are in terms of Haitians? Like, of Haitians?
Of Haitians? Oh my gosh.
Where do we start?
It's interesting. I would have thought that. So there is this kind of like long-standing stereotypes about Haitians not really like they work hard. It's weird, but that's only particular to like certain regions. Like, they always say Haitians don't, like they work their their asses off constantly. Like they're not on like welfare, yada yada. But then I go to certain places and then I hear that just the opposite. Like they're no different from African Americans, and Haitians pride themselves on like not trying
African American.
Exactly. Not being African American. So African American, it's like the lowest thing. In fact, I remember, we growing up together, my mom used to tell me, it's like, remember, you are Haitian. You're not African American. She's like, if I see you pull your pants down, I'm gonna beat your ass. That's the one thing I hear. And also the other one, the general stereotype is that Haiti's like no different from Africa, which is a bunch of like destitute people, just broke as hell, and they're just they're hustlers. That's probably the one that I hear the most. Like they just hustle.
So
not hustling in terms of like the African American term hustling, where like you're out in the street and just like drug dealing, but hustling in terms of like whatever.
We know what hustle. We know what it is. I mean, I'm not Haitian. I don't think hustling is drug dealing. What you got for stereotypes, Harold?
Stereotypes? I mean, going off what Marshall said. I mean, it's just like, yeah. I mean, we can be recognized as hardworking group of individuals, but the stereotypes. I mean, I think the transition it's transitioned over the years. Me growing up, it wasn't cool to be Haitian, when I was young.
Why not? Give me those when you was young stereotypes. I got 10 of
Oh,
them. So I mean, y'all acting like these shits don't exist.
Marshall, remember that saying "Santi Mayas"?
Yeah, I was sending my ass. Yeah, very
So you know where that came from. So a little
interesting.
that terminology came from when the U.S. had occupied Haiti. I think it was like for like 15 years.
It was 1915 to 1937.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so the Americans would make fun of the Haitians and be like Santi, and be like Santi means smell, and then they would add my ass, right? And so
Ah,
that's where the terminology came from, Santi my ass. And I'm like, some people would say it and just like, yo, you don't even know where the terminology come from, you know? And so that kind of stuck. And you go to high school, Haitian body odor, you know? So you definitely went through a phase growing up. I mean, for me growing up as a kid, it wasn't cool to be Haitian. I mean, I was very proud. I was always getting into fights, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But it was definitely a phase where it was just like, dude, it's just really hard to be Haitian. Because remember, there was a big migration from Haiti to Florida, from Florida to New York, from New York to Canada, then now Boston. And
is there a lot of Haitians in Canada? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
And I did a Canada
Montreal.
episode. Nobody said
Yeah.
anything about Haitians. They just said
oh,
Jamaicans and some Asians. And I'm sure so the problem is they didn't know that those Jamaicans were Haitian.
just
Fucking
yeah. Well,
Renee.
see, that's nah. There's a big population in Montreal specifically. You know, French is the recognized language in Haiti. But if you speak French in Haiti, you're considered the bougie. But but yeah, it's easy to make a transition in Canada. In Canada, they got a big population, Haitian population out
So
there.
did
But
you
it's transitioned. Now it's cool to be Haitian. I mean, like now you got everybody rocking the flag and drinking Baba Cool Ray, and
Nah, that's bullshit. Stop that shit. Listen.
Yo, I'm a proud Haitian. I'll tell you one thing. It's like
yeah,
there's only like two. I drink rum. Like I collect,
yeah.
and I will say Baba Cool is if you get
It's
anything that's like below 4 stars, it tastes
yeah.
disgusting. At least to me, but in particular,
It just
I
tastes
almost got
like, man, all alcohol tastes like shit. But also, I mean, we've had some of the best rums in the fucking world. So I'm not even gonna hold to that. But the two stereotypes that y'all obviously miss is one in the comments with Ralph is machetes. The other one is voodoo.
oh oh yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
yeah. So did you want to touch on that, Ray? I mean,
No, we'll move
Yeah,
forward and we'll
I mean, I
touch on
can
those
tell
other things.
you.
But actually, so voodoo for me was the segue, and I know Marshall's heard this, Harold, but I don't know if you have.
yeah.
The video of Pat Roberson in the 600 Club saying that in order for Haiti to fight off being enslaved, that they had to conjure black magic and voodoo so that they could do it. You ever seen that video?
I haven't seen that video, to be honest.
You know who
But
the
I mean,
dude
that's
is?
not
He's
the
that
first time.
old.
That's not the
He's
first
that
time I've
old
heard
white
that.
dude on like that Christian TV show that talks to old white people forever. The 600 Club, I think it's called.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
literally said that shit verbatim. And I'm like,
yeah.
but you don't speak to the fucking probably. Both Haiti and Jamaica saw some of the most horrific slavery in the world. Even I mean, it's not even comparable to what was happening in America because they were literally using it for like breeding grounds to create what they thought was super slaves at the time, and then
Definitely.
betting like they were taking pregnant women and would cut their babies out of their stomach and then would bet each other as to how long it would take for the baby to die. And you don't really hear stories about that like that with slavery here in America.
Yeah.
You do, but of course they suppressed it down to a certain part. But
Yeah.
For those type of points, it's like I don't understand why you as a person would go and say that they basically conjured voodoo to fight off essentially what was the worst, most devil heinous shit that you could ever do. And for
Well-
anybody else, just before you go, Harold, voodoo is not even based in Haiti. Voodoo is based in West Africa.
No.
Voodoo is not black
Exactly.
magic. Voodoo is spirituality. Voodoo is a
Exactly.
spirituality that we as humans have fucking completely lost.
Definitely.
Um,
So
Go ahead.
They borrowed a lot of their voodoo is actually very akin to like the Nigerian practice.
That's where it
In
started.
fact, go ahead.
That's where it started. I actually, from the last episode, it was a lot of Nigeria, and throughout the week researching for this episode, I actually went back to Osa and said, you know that voodoo started in Benin? Or Vodun.
Yeah, and and in fact, it's such a state. It's so deep rooted in the country that, in fact, a lot of Duvaliers, the Papa Doc, and the duo, the son and father duo, dictators who kind of reigned from 1959 to like 71. No, he died. The father died in 71 to like 82 or something like that when the son finally left. A lot of his power came from essentially his him telling the people or convincing the people who are already kind of like immersed in the culture of white magic or black magic, whatever you want to call it, in that kind of spirituality. He would essentially take that and use it, to say that, hey, listen, I'm like, not only am I an actual doctor, but I practice magic. And he would do a lot of rituals to kind of convey that he's well indoctrinated into like the practice of practicing in magic.
Mm-hmm.
He would make like all these like crazy assertions, like, you see what happened to John F. Kennedy. He died because I put a curse on him for the United States taking over the country for 22 years, something like that. So he essentially kind of like used it, as kind of like as a defense mechanism, and also kind of like to exploit people and the lack of education in many ways. So I think part of it is a kind of a form of spirituality, but also for the people that tend to be a little less evolved intellectually, you could also use it as as a means of exploitation, right?
I mean, that comes with everything. How you use everything. Harold, when it comes to Haiti, how is the Citadel talked about?
The Citadel?
Because in my opinion, it should be seen as one of the biggest symbols of freedom in all of the Americas.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't visited the Citadel as many times I've been down there. That's one of the places I've always wanted to go.
Well, we canceling you then, motherfucker. Hold on, Marshall. How is the Citadel talked about in Haiti?
Yeah, I was gonna go, what? I've been to the Citadel. You haven't been to the Citadel?
I haven't been to the Citadel.
Marshall was born in the Citadel.
The Citadel, honestly, is probably one of the greatest works of the 20th, of the 19th century. Like, when I look at it, I'm like, it's crazy. Like, it's on top of this mountain range, and it was made all by, so this kind of controversial. I wouldn't say it's made by the hands of slaves, but it was made by the hands of servants of the oh man, I forgot his name, but of the three rulers or governors of the country. The country was split up, and so you had Dessalines, which was the successor of Toussaint Louverture. Right, once he got captured by France and got killed, Dessalines was the one who actually he facilitated, I guess, like the revolution in 1804, and so he was taking over essentially all of Port-au-Prince, of what is Port-au-Prince, and then his general, who also equally had power, he was in charge of the north, and the north was absolutely beautiful. That's where Cap-Haïtien is, right? Which was in and of itself the capital of the North, I guess, empire of Haiti, or the northern region of Haiti, which was governed differently. And he held such power. Like, so he did take care of his, of his people, but other people say that he also like ruled with an iron fist. So like, he really tortured people who were like against him, and these were like black followers.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing was built on former slaves' hands, but it wasn't like, it's kind of crazy because they didn't have total freedom. It was almost like they looked to this guy like a god, and literally what he created was like the most amazing thing. It was huge. It covered, you could see over the ocean, and the whole purpose of it being created was so that you could see if any other forces that they fought off, like the British, the French, the Spanish, were actually trying to make a resurgence.
Okay, so That's perfect. So I'm going to touch on that question, but first I got a question for Harold, and that question is: in Haiti, is there a lot of black statues? Because from my point of view, I don't see many at all. I see a lot of European imagery.
No, they do.
They do have black statues. I mean, there was the one famous one is the Negmaon, but that was stolen and replaced by I don't know who did it. You know, someone has the original, which was given as a gift to Haiti. But there's plenty of statues in Haiti, but I don't know how many of them withstood the devastation, of the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Okay. So for Marshall, to go back to basically what you were saying, and obviously the Citadel being a viewpoint to fight off a lot of regimes, and this is probably going to let you go for about 15 minutes. How did Haiti fight off a shitload of invaders and then adopt Christianity after?
Oh man, that's pretty intense.
Well,
so interestingly enough, man, like it's just like anything. You take on what I mean, what Haiti knew, and this is interesting, by the way. This is not. It's slightly tangential, but it's related really to what we're talking about in terms of taking on things, the familiar. So, do you know that Haiti took on the same government that was, ruling it at the time because of Napoleon Bonaparte? He was an emperor. And at the time, like, democracy was kind of like trying to fight its way back into there, right? And during the French Revolution and other areas. And it just so happens that Haiti's it's called a dual executive, has a dual executive governing system, which means that they have a parliament and they have a presidency, right? Which just says a lot. It says that
you're right. That's like a mixture of every country that ever been there.
Right.
That nigga over there, he's the head of security, and that motherfucker, he's God.
right. So it's like you're there. One dude's like, yeah, I'm emperor. The other one's like, no, I want to be democratic. And so you had three people there. You had three people. One was in the city who claimed to be an emperor. The other one wanted to be a king up north. And then the other one who wanted to essentially, espouse like democracy and elections and things like that. He ended up trying to kill the emperor, right? And so with that said, what I'm saying is that that's all they knew. That's all they knew from their ruling. Likewise, I would expect the same thing would be with Christianity. It's like, okay, like we have these white people that are coming over and they are preaching this thing, and okay, well, it sounds interesting. Like, we like that.
Let's kill them and then we'll take that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I mean, truth be told, like, it's not like Christianity in and of itself. Like I said, with anything, with any religion, like, you could take the good out of it, or you can manipulate it, or use it to manipulate the general public. And I think that's what it is.
Unquestionably.
I mean, it's not.
So obviously, you guys will both get a chance to answer this question, Harold. Who are the historic Haitian heroes?
The historic Haitian heroes?
Like names that come to mind when you think of, okay, this is Haiti. These are the dudes that made it what it is today. Or women.
That's kind of crazy. Like you got.
Hey, hold on, Harold, and you get to go, Marshall.
My bad.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to Haitian heroes, I mean, just look at the history of Haiti, like how it's been ruled by dictatorship. It's hard to kind of come up with a solid name of who heroes. You have people that came up and try to stick up against the government, and they were either ousted or fled for a better life to a different country. But I mean, as far as heroes that people actually know, I mean, you got musicians, you got people that are using their platform to kind of talk and put Haiti on the map. You know what I mean? That's been my exposure to. That's been my segue as far as me trying to figure out and learn more about the culture.
All right, hold on right there, because Marshall's about to school you. Give us some heroes, Marshall.
Give us some heroes. I mean, Toussaint Louverture is probably the most like the complete cleanest hero, I guess you get. Like
Yeah.
Toussaint Louverture and Aristide are probably the two that come to mind. The rest are kind of like their reputations are, like with like all these weird things. So, like Toussaint Louverture was like this guy. He was a former slave, and that's the amazing thing about it. He was a former slave who became one of the lieutenants of Napoleon's army, and dude completely just took over, and he kicked him out. I mean, he got everyone out, and then finally, the French. You know how they kidnapped him? When they were signing a treaty, everyone cornered them with their what do you call it? The bayonets or whatever the
Bayonets.
kind of bayonets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't even know if they were bayonets. Maybe, yeah.
The fuck? What else could it be, nigga?
No, I didn't know
Machetes?
whether it was called bayonets or something else. I heard another term for it. But yeah, so they had him cornered, and that's how they took him in. And then Dessalines took, essentially decided to follow his footsteps. And then I would say Aristide, who was actually the president, and people didn't like them. Especially you might like this, Raymond, knowing the fact that you hate Christianity. He was.
I have white people on here. You stop that. I don't hate Christianity.
He was the one actually who made voodoo an official religion, and so a lot of right wing and a lot of conservatives did not like that. And on top of the fact that he had a lot of programs going on, and he was really kind of like anti-America in many ways. And the story is that they had some special ops people go in there and ousted him, and kind of like they had some kind of coup essentially.
To be honest, I never heard that story, but when you mention it like that, it sounds a lot like what they did to Castro. He got in, they didn't like what he was doing, and they said, "Oh, we don't like this shit." But for everybody that's watching that's Haitian, I'm about to drop one on you right fucking now. And that man's name is W.E.B. Du Bois from Boston. Went to motherfucking Harvard. Haitian as shit. W.E.B. Du Bois, if you don't know, one of the most critically acclaimed writers in the history of the world, is Haitian. So take him on as a hero. And with that being said, that's a segue into a game I'm going to play called Who's Haitian? And Marshall's going to be terrible at this shit because he don't know any current events at all. So, picture number one. Bam! Let me clean y'all from the back. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, please.
Hey, hold on, motherfucker. Hold on. Let me bring it to the front so we can see what we're talking about here. We got Future, because we on Spotify too, so motherfuckers that ain't going to watch the video on YouTube. Future, Rick Ross, Dr. Dre. Who's Haitian? Marshall?
Oh, Future.
Harold?
Future, but Dr. Rick Ross, he flirts with the idea and claims he's not, so I don't know. Future.
Oh, y'all niggas, I don't know. Okay, it's Future. I ain't going to play with y'all. It's Future. Future's Haitian. He looks like it in that picture. But, I'll tell you right now, it's going to get a lot motherfucking harder.
Yeah, that's a thing what Haitians do all the time. They love, they love saying, well.
Just to let you know, everybody in the comments said Ross, because Ross is claiming that White House shit. Ross is not Haitian. But, number two, this is going to be a lot harder. Kabam. Entanglement, Zoe Saldana, or Beyonce?
I'm going to say Zoe. Zoe Saldana.
What you got, Marshall? Entanglement?
Zoe. Oh, no. Zoe.
Y'all motherfuckers, huh? Okay. All right. Zoe Saldana it is. Very nice. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all on top of your Haitianicity.
Oh, yes.
Y'all think y'all got three, though?
Yeah.
Oh, well, here's three. Hold on. Let me move that shit to the top. Kanye, Derrick Rose, Blake Griffin.
Oh, Derrick Rose.
Harold?
Shit, I didn't know Derrick Rose was Haitian.
That's who you got, Derrick Rose?
Yep.
I don't know any of these guys are
Derrick
Haitian.
Rose or Kanye, but I'll say Derrick Rose.
I don't recognize any of these.
God damn it. Your own racist light skinism, Marshall. It's motherfucking Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin.
Jumping out the Haitian gym. Gene's got it right in the comments.
Oh,
wow.
Yo, the funny
And his
thing
name
is
is Gene, so he's
his
Haitian.
Mom is a redhead. I knew his mom was. I think his mom is white, and she's like a redhead. So I just assumed that. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
They were into Haitians.
Well, I got number 4. This is the hardest one of all. Y'all think y'all got it? Bam.
All of the above.
I think he's Haitian.
Man. He's repping hard. He's repping hard.
So, speaking of that guy, did y'all know that they tried to assassinate Wyclef in Haiti? Why did they do that?
I couldn't figure out why. I have no idea. No one could give me a good reason on why. Some person told me, everybody has their own stories about it. Like, one person told me that when he tried to run for office, they realized that, like, dude, like, you rep Haiti all the time, but you barely live here. And so some people just, I guess, try to take him out because he's against a party, like he was going against a particular party of an opponent. And so that's what I could make out from the conversation that I was having.
What you got on it, Harold?
No, I think it was a publicity stunt, because he was trying to win the people over. Yeah, I think one of his faults is why he wasn't able to be nominated as his president was because they tried to get him on default of technicality, which is that he wasn't in Haiti for 5 years. He was born and raised in Haiti, but you have to spend 5 consecutive years in Haiti before you can be considered.
You hear that shit, Marshall?
Yeah, that's why when I was thinking about running for office down there. I
fuck around and get shot, nigga, if you ain't there for 5 years.
No, but obviously the whole purpose of it was for me to spend time there. I wanted to go teach down there.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out.
So we got in the comments that he wanted the popularity more than to control the country.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You got Matili, who became president. I mean, he used his popularity, a musician that kind of took that platform and used it to his advantage and became a president of Haiti. I mean, it's up in the air as far as was he a good president for Haiti. I mean, it all depends on who you ask. But I think Wyclef was the same. It's just like he had just too much going on. His popularity would have probably got him up there, but he just got defaulted by technicality.
Okay. So, I mean, in your case, Harold, and especially coming off of Wyclef, because if we're talking about popularity, I know you've met Bill Clinton before.
Yes,
What is your opinion of Bill Clinton and Bill Clinton being in Haiti? And the Clinton Foundation being in Haiti heavily?
Yeah, so when I met Clinton, I actually took a picture with him. I started doing research as far as like his involvement in Haiti and in some of the history he's had. I mean, did you know that he got his honeymoon in Haiti?
Oh yeah, I know a lot of shit about what he's done in Haiti.
Yeah, so I mean, he's done a lot of good, but at the same time, in the same breath, he's done some things that kind of stuck it to the people of Haiti. Like, for example, he had rice that was made in Kentucky or Kansas or something like that was imported. Came out publicly, apologized about it, but that took a lot of jobs away from the farmers, right? And so a lot of the stuff is being imported till this day.
Who the fuck imports rice from fucking Kentucky? Like, everybody knows that's a San Francisco treat.
Yeah, he sanctioned it. He did it so that the farmers in Haiti were out of jobs, and so now we buy rice from other countries, And so, I mean, if you look at it, Clinton's been in Haiti for a long time. He's got property in Jacmel, Haiti. He owns half of Jacmel. But as far as the work that he's done in Haiti is very controversial when it comes to the things that he's done, So, but it all depends on who you ask. He's done some good things from some people, and he's done some bad things for the country.
I mean, it depends on who you ask in any situation, because I'm sure there's a million motherfuckers out there that say I'm a piece of shit asshole. I'm an asshole, but I'm not a piece of shit. Let's get it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, in the case of, and I talked about it, the conspiracy theories that are fucking factually true, the Clintons being involved with Laura Silsby, who tried to take fucking 9 kids out of Haiti to the airport, like, oh, their parents, no, you don't understand. And then they arrested her ass. And then they sent a lawyer to defend her. This is all fucking true. You can look it up. But I think the as far as Haiti or Cuba or anything that's an island, I think that people don't understand how beautiful it is there. So they think like, oh, why would anybody want to be there? Not realizing that there's beachfront property, there's beautiful beaches, there's still fucking crazy views and scenery and everything. And it's kind of an uncapped resource for people to take advantage of that beachfront property and selling it back to, you know, those Clinton type people. The next question being, I mean, you personally having your own nonprofit organization, but I'll field the question for both of you guys. What do you think of organizations like UNICEF or Red Cross? You and your opinion. Marshall, you can answer it first. Harold, I know you're going to have more of an opinion on it, obviously doing that type of work and interacting with those people.
Yeah.
You know, I personally, I think that I've encountered those people. I know people. Everything I hear is all secondhand, so I really can't comment on it.
Well, while you're talking, I'll post this ad, which is not secondhand; it's very firsthand, and it talks about how Red Cross built 6 fucking houses after raising all that money they did for earthquakes.
Right.
Public record. Once again, they came back and lied, said they provided homes for 130,000 people, but physical permanent homes was 6.
Right. And to piggyback on that, actually, since you brought that up, like I said, I heard this from people who actually worked in the airports. So they told me that the Red Cross, after the earthquake, you know, people were scrambling to get stuff down there, right? Materials down there and food and resources. And the Red Cross actually refused to go to land in certain sites because they knew the media was going to be there. And so they made it a point to only go and supply resources in areas where they knew there'd be a lot more publicity. And so I thought that was interesting. And so, I mean, I heard that essentially from people that actually worked during that time in those areas. So I think, you know, there's definitely, in general, I mean, that's just one instance, but I can't really say much other than that. So it doesn't look so good from my perspective. Things don't.
So I mean, Harold, obviously, and in your work, I'm sure you've actually crossed. I can't be looking at these fucking comments. Somebody said cross equals stealing money. You 100% right, Keon. Whether it's Red Cross or the crucifix. Harold, I'm sure you've run into Red Cross people and UNICEF people. What is your experience in that? What do you kind of think about the way that they run?
So you gotta think. So Haiti, when the earthquake happened, became the republic of NGOs, and so there was more NGOs than actual national, groups working on the grounds. And with that being said, just know that when a disaster takes place, somebody said it perfect. You know, it's all about getting the resources, getting money to pay off. But it all boiled down to there was a lot of overhead costs. A lot of it is just, you know, you hear news reports now. Some groups were doing some sex trafficking, exploiting females in Haiti. Red Cross building 6 houses. But I mean, I'm sure if people did more research in different locations around the world, they would see that's more and more the case. You know, I mean, I think there needs to be more of an effort when it comes to involving people who are on the ground and training and educating and being sustainable, as opposed to relying on NGOs that are from other countries to come down and give a helping hand. And that was my exposure. It's just like I was just confused as far as like, yeah, we got, you know, Red Cross coming down and supposedly building houses and supposedly giving aid, but at the end of the day, when they leave, they do more damage than they do good, because at the end of the day, they put a Band-Aid over a massive wound, and that doesn't do much,
I
and
mean, that's
that's
a
why I
big part of
built.
everything. Symbolism is everything, and unfortunately, when you get that big, it's
Yeah.
hard to go and search because they have the means to cover that shit up. Just a quick kind of rundown on what a nonprofit entails. Everybody thinks that a nonprofit means that everybody makes no money, and that's
Hmm.
not true. It just
No.
means that at the end of the year, when you file taxes, that you end up at a zero tax balance, so you can account for all the money that's there. Just to speak of a few nonprofit organizations, and me being, having one, Harold having one himself, that's on a small scale where I end up raising upwards of maybe $3,000 a year, and some white kid can shoot a fucking dude in cold blood out of nowhere and raise himself $200,000 in a night. It's a hard work in progress for us to be trying to change the world every year. Where you have the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children CEO makes $1.2 million a year. And since Haiti, UNICEF and Red Cross have made shit very, very murky for you to see what it is. So when you go and research it, the UNICEF CEO makes somewhere in between 600K and $1.9 million a year. Red Cross is 650 to 1.2 million, and the American Heart Association is 2.3 fucking million. So you're telling me that I'm supposed to be listening to the American Heart Association telling us what's good for our heart, when in actuality it's just what's good for the profitability of the most major companies that are out there. On to our next question, and I guess obviously be posed to both you guys, but Marshall first, is when you think of your Haitian culture, what are the biggest things that come to mind immediately if you tell somebody, this is me, this is why I'm Haitian?
I guess I would say, man, I kind of like it's been drilled on me, like kind of like the integrity and kind of like this sense of working hard, and never being on your ass. I think that's something that's been drilled down for I don't know how long, man. It's just it's very pronounced in my family and just in general and in the culture that that I was raised in. Um, and I think that's what makes me Haitian. But at the same time, too, I think probably the second thing would be family. Man, I can't tell you like how it's all about family. You always have to take care of family. Like you have to sacrifice for family. My mom consistently. I've now sponsored my second or third cousin in Haiti, and so I've been helping out my uncle, sending money over there. My other uncle that died due to mysterious causes, he needed a funeral. So my family and I, well, my siblings and I, had to like scrounge up some money to to pay for the funeral. That was like $4,000 or something like that. So I think just hard work and really family, meaning everything, are kind of like the two things that I said are deep rooted, at least that I find in most Haitian and families.
Okay, so I mean, same question to you, Harold. And I would say, just to kind of minimize it, with those two answers, if you were standing next to a Salvadorian dude, how would I be able to distinguish that you were Haitian and he was El Salvadorian by culture? Because I'm sure they're a lot about family and work too.
Yeah,
I, I,
yeah,
I think a sense of pride. I'm very like when I'm around my people, we're very proudful. We're very proud of where we come from. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like if I know somebody's Haitian in the room, it's just instant connection because whether you experience it, growing up, living in a Haitian household, how different it is. You know what I mean? Like, being strict, having strict parents, and those sayings that you hear about. I think it's just having a sense of pride of that and a sense of family, like Marshall said. Growing up, I used to hear we used to do cassette tapes and send cassette tapes to Haiti. And then now we ways of us listening to voices of people, families and stuff. But that was like growing up. I used to come home and my grandfather's doing a voodoo ceremony in the living room.
oh, that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? And just like to me that was like wow, this is family. This is what our culture is all about, and then you just have a sense of pride of that and where you come from, and then you look at the history and what we've been through. Resiliency is the first thing that comes in mind. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something I'm very proudful of. Very, very proud.
Perfect.
You know what? I can't believe I thought I was the only one that shared that. Look at that.
What?
Yo, my stepfather would do these rituals. I don't know what the hell he would put me all in white. Like, you would have to wear white. We covered in white through the whole, like, bushes, like, with water.
Listen, he was trying to get you good credit.
Yeah.
Yo, what the hell?
But the truth, though. Like,
put me in the tub, like, put water. I'm like, what are you saying? Yo, this dude had what was it? He had it looked like some kind of, like, I think it was like David Starr that was on, like, sideways on the doors, and he would kind of just pray over it. I used to just think, I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
I need a picture of that.
Yeah,
I need a picture of that right now.
It's funny you said that. I've never shared that with anybody except for like one or two people. The fact that I honestly thought I was the only one who's kind of embarrassed because my family actually did voodoo. I was like, oh shoot.
And that's why when I say when you're in a room you got another Haitian, it's so easy to communicate and connect because it's like only you guys can understand what that feels like.
So
what's that like?
With that being said, like, this is it. This is the point of these type of episodes of the podcast. This is the point of those type of information. This is the point of explaining to somebody what voodoo is versus what we thought it was at the time. So when you watch movies and you see how they portray voodoo, and now you feel like, oh shit, my own uncle is doing black magic, when in actuality it's a spirituality that we should all have.
Spirituality.
Yep. And we don't understand it anymore. So maybe it's definitely. Like we're the ones that look crazy. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. When they got it a little bit more figured out than us, but we're too embarrassed to get in a room. And who knows? Like, I feel like in America, it takes you almost fucking 10 years to get over some level of embarrassment. Whereas, whether you're in Africa or you're in Haiti, it's like you see kids fucking dancing and smiling at ages where they don't care what people think. And that shit is so much more important than being embarrassed. And embarrassment, I swear to God, is an American fucking trait that they just don't have along the world because people don't hate on each other that much in other places.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, there's an aspect of that I think is true, but I would kind of like push back on that because, man, there's some things that Americans believe, like. I mean, it's really, to me, it's no different. Like, I remember it was you who sent me this video, and to this day, I like die when I hear it. Where you have like the church, these like these weird evangelists down south that are like in a Congo line, like trying to go get blessed, and then the dude is just beating them with with
jacket and shit.
And then they dubbed the video over with like what is it, like a Street Fighter theme, right?
So listen, I can find the video easily, but the Street Fighter one I can't find because he does like an M Bison and knocks everybody in the whole stage down. But with that being said, I will attribute that to what I said with Ralph in my first episode, which is if everybody's singing dicks, you don't seem so stupid when everybody else is doing it. But I'll tell you right now, you take them evangelists and throw them in the middle of Massachusetts, people are like, what the fuck are you doing with that jacket?
No, right. No. And I think that is kind of like regional, right? Like, I think that's like, there are these like subcultures in the United States, as there are in all the countries, and that are kind of like, what the hell are you doing? It's usually the more intellectual people, like the more, intellectually, I guess, enlightened people tend to be like the ones who are a little bit more skeptical of it. But even within like these people, you have like people who do believe in spirituality. Like, I'm one. I'm definitely one. And so I don't know. I just think it's more of a regional thing than it is kind of like a countrywide thing. But I mean,
it's certainly not a countrywide thing. What is it?
Like Haitians are supremely embarrassed, especially when you compare them. Like what we mentioned, the quip that I made about. Or that you made about Haitians not aligning themselves with African Americans, right? In fact, even West Africans actually do not want to align themselves with African Americans. Like the worst thing that you can be is an African American. So
Unquestionably.
that said, it's like if you are an if you're Haitian, and if you kind of like come from like a low middle to like a middle class family and you're black in Haiti, or even if you're African, and I have a lot of African friends who are like working class in their countries, you come to this country, the last thing you want to be, and the biggest embarrassment, is for you to be on welfare and for you to have your pants sagging, and you just kind of like adhering to like the hip hop culture. So I think there is some form of embarrassment. It's just different. Like it's not exactly the same. Yeah.
I mean, the craziest thing is that we in the world are denying hip hop culture. Well, it is the most popular music in the world, and it literally is driving culture now as we speak.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I'll move on to the next question to you, Marshall, and obviously Harold. You can answer it after. Is racism an issue in Haiti?
Oh my gosh, that is literally the reason why the country. I think Haiti probably, coupled with other things, it's really. I mean, it's really the crux of it. It's kind of like the biggest issue there. I mean, I can't. The extent to which they've internalized their, the hatred for the dark skin is. I mean, it's so immense. Like, I mean, let me give you some examples. So, I'll give you like just some not anecdotals, and I mean some anecdotes, and then some kind of like general information. So, in what is it like the DR, like in 1915 or so, I can't remember exactly the date. They had this dictator, Raphael. Forgot his name. Forgot.
Hold on 1 second. Raphael, something Dominican Republic. Keep going with the story. I'll look it up.
Yeah. Something.
You can tell her to come over here. She can hear it. This is Imperfect podcast, baby.
President of the DR.
Trujillo. Oh, Trujillo. Oh, okay, Trujillo. Yeah, Rafael Trujillo.
Oh, that's the name of a city in Puerto Rico.
No, so he's the Dominican dictator in like the early 20th century. Like this dude was so enthralled and like so like his wanting to be white, and he coveted white skin so bad, and he hated the Haitians so bad. He I think ordered about like 10 or 20,000 Haitians just to be slaughtered, just on the basis of their color. So even and he was backed by the U.S. But so even like Dominicans, right? Because at that point you really could tell, because 90% of the country of Dominicans, I think it's like 80 or something, but like 80% or so they have African ancestry, right? With that said, it's like you're even killing off your own because of the darkness of their skin. So that is how the next door neighbor has felt for I don't know how long he was in power. I think it was like a decade or so. And then you have Haiti, who is like I'll give you like a personal example. When I was in 2006, when I was there for my cousin's wedding.
And not to cut you off, but I got a comment in here that says Rafael Leonidas Trujillo Molina.
Trujillo.
Yes. So if you want a nigga to hate, that's him.
Yeah. He's actually the one really that they say that really started the whole trend of like dark skin. Like if you're Haitian, if you're dark skin, like you're Haitian type of thing. Yeah. But anyways, like when 2006, when I was there, I was in a top. And, I purposely, when I go to Haiti, I try to look as like broke as possible, and try to fit in.
It's working right now.
Yeah, man.
You need to give your man having something.
Right. I mean, no, I try to look as much as a local as possible, man. Like I was wearing some, mind you, obviously my hair was shorter, but I was wearing some ripped jeans and that were cut off to look like capris, and with some sandals, no shirt. That's it. I got on the top, and I was like, 24 at the time, And so I'm hanging in the back, off the back, and this woman must have been like 60 years old, 65, and she literally says, "Oh, like you shouldn't be sitting. You shouldn't be standing out there. Like you should be sitting down." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No, no, I'm fine." She's like, "No, you sit down. I'll stand up. You sit down." I mean, and this obviously the woman was dark, 60s and 70s. I'm a 24-year-old kid.
Yep.
Like I'm a young cub, just like have the world in front of me. I literally enjoyed sitting outside while we're driving. Standing outside the top while we're driving, just waving to everybody and speaking Creole to everybody. I was excited, and she saw it as like, oh my gosh, like what the hell are you doing? And so that just kind of goes to show you, like no one would do that here, right? Like who the hell? It's like it would be damned if you got like a woman.
Yeah, listen, man, down south, some of these old ass white black people, they might give their seat up for a white dude. But I mean, obviously our experiences are different, and somebody that's indoctrinated kind of into what people believe is going to be a lot different than the situations that we've seen. But yeah, I mean that's a crazy ass story. A 60-year-old lady going, "Hey, you should be sitting down, you light skinned ass boy."
Yep. Another story from my mom, like the one, probably the last one I'll give. But so when I was my father's white. So when I was born, I was definitely fair, like with like peachy blonde skin. I really didn't get dark until, so I'm told, till like I've seen some pictures like when I was like maybe 1 or so. But before, for all intents and purposes, when people looked at me, they thought that I was like a white diplomat or French diplomat. A lot of diplomats that were French. Just a kid, right? And so my mom, who's dark, she would walk around and they would straight up tell her, it'd be like, hey, like these white people, like French people, would be like, it's like, be careful with that kid, or I will tell your boss, like you're just slacking. She's like, where do you live? They would ask her like, where do you live? Like why? It's like, I've been here for like an hour or so, and the way that you're with the kid is almost as if like he's yours. Like make sure that stay in your lane. And my mom would tell me these stories. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And just because she had me, but at the same time, my mom, like to keep it real, like my mom also knew what she was getting involved in. I think there was also an element of like trying to get ahead in life because she's darker and she knows that being with a white guy is going to be, and having a kid from a white guy is going to elevate my status in society. Mm-hmm. And that's the only real assertion or kind of like assumption I can make when my father is at the time he was like in his 50s, early 50s, and she had broken up with a Haitian doctor, a black man, like a doctor. And so with that said, a black woman kind of like leaving a black professional to be with a light-skinned.
Yeah, because you just think, that makes, it makes perfect sense. When you think somebody obviously is more important for their color, and you're telling me that, an elderly lady is giving up her seat for you, then it makes perfect sense. For you, Harold, any occurrences of racism when you've been there?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see it when it comes to like job positions, especially working in the NGO realm. You saw the individuals, well, from what I saw, in not particular groups, but universally, when you saw individuals who represented like high ranks in office, they were fairly light-skinned, and it's all throughout the country. You just gotta know, throughout Haiti's history, even when we got our independence, we never got the fair shake. You know what I mean? And so, we were just, I want to say, the fact that we were the first black republic to get our independence, there was a no trade embargo, and you had individuals who saw us as threats, and so they would come up with these stories and these facades of saying like, they practice voodoo and stay away. You got, the Dominican Republican president who, I think they call it the Red River, or the Murderous River, is where he killed and slayed those tens and thousands of Haitians. And so throughout its history, it was never okay for black Haitians to come out and view to be on top. It's always we've always marred by some type of misconception and so forth, and so you have what you have right now. But yeah, I mean, I've experienced it, and it's messed up. It's really messed up. But it's something that needs to be considered when it comes to doing work down there and trying to get things to be moved and so forth. Especially with me, with my organization, having the footprint that I have, it's just you really know you really need to know who the key players are when it comes to pushing things ahead and stuff like that. So
I mean,
yeah,
doing the same type of work as you do, it's probably one of the most frustrating things when your intentions are straight from your heart
good.
and as pure as
Yeah.
they can be, and you still have to prove yourself further than that.
And that's the truth. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Ray. And that was something that I had to kind of really, really hunker down and kind of put that in back of my mind because it was very frustrating. I had moments of times when I wanted to quit, but not too many people are who do the work that I do have the good intentions and want to see the good and stick through it. So being consistent, being transparent, and and letting people know what it is that you're trying to do, it helps in the long run. Because throughout Haiti's history, they're used to being, duped or having an organization coming in and exploiting them. And so when someone who comes from America, who's Haitian American, who's not really from the country, you're going to have some type of skepticism. You're not going to trust them at first. And that's what I faced when I first rolled out Epecare. And through the grace of God and the support of people who believed in whatever it was that I was trying to do,
It made the logo.
It made the logo. I appreciate that. Yeah. So Ray, we got to tell the whole story, man. So I remember when me and Ray, I think we was at Mass General, working at Mass General. It's where I met Ray, and Ray came up with the idea.
Whoa, motherfucker! See, now I gotta cut you off.
Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was wrong.
Oh no! You don't even get to talk now. Because I certainly remember me and Marshall leaving football practice and Harold opening his trunk
you're right,
and trying to sell us certain shit. But I'm gonna keep it Epicare professional.
Yeah, so I mean, we go way back. We go back to semi-pro football. You know what I mean? But I think a good part of our relationship and our friendship stemmed from our aspirations and our passion to do the work that we're doing. I remember Ray sitting in his little cubicle, coming up with these, this. To me, it was a crazy idea. Like, hey, I want to go and implement FTL. He's making jerseys, and also he wanted to go and start a football team in Costa Rica. And we was always supporting each other. And for like fast forward 11 years later to it being where it's at right now, it's truly amazing. And the world needs more people like that. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's harder for individuals like us to do this type of work because we have to always prove ourselves and really take it to the whole nother level. But as long as you stay consistent, being transparent and be truthful with who you are and so forth, you'll be successful, man. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I mean, thank you. And when you said in that the world needs more of us, the world needs more of every single person that's been on my podcast so far, and the world needs more support to bring those people to the top, to show those people to other people so they stop making assumptions about, people that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Because everybody wants to hold up the crazy motherfucker that's out there punching some old white lady in the face that's about to do like 100 years in jail for it, instead of holding up, people like us three or people like everybody that's been on my podcast that are doing everything they possibly can to make changes in the world and improve upon those changes. Next question to you, Marshall, is do you feel that, and like I said, Harold, you can answer it after, that Haiti is a dangerous country?
Now it is. It's absolutely, now it's crazy. What is it? I think the current president, what's his name? Jovenel. I think Jovenel Moise is this dude is, I guess, this business guy who gained power, who got elected in 2016, and he embezzled some, he definitely took some money from the government.
Sounds like America.
Yeah, right. And also allegedly he is kind of like tied to like these gangs, and also other sects of like government too. Like they're elected to having kind of erected these gangs where the gangs are targeting these political figures. Just recently, I want to say not recently, but I guess recent enough within the past year or so, uh, these gangs, who again are alleged to have been created by like these government figures, particularly him. They killed like this political activist. It's actually a lawyer, a very well known lawyer in the community down there, in Port-au-Prince in particular. And yeah, people like lost it. And then the gangs are gaining so much power, and they're just kind of going around doing whatever they want to do with impunity and just getting away with it. And clearly, it seems like that's because they have like some kind of tie with the government, and the people in power.
So I guess
so with going on with that, I mean, because before I mean,
go ahead.
not to level, but he also around that area. They say that you really can't go drive anywhere just because now they have like riots like every other week or so, and then you also have the coronavirus, which is obviously makes everything worse, being shut down and people just not having like work and all that. So now it's bad, but before that, I would say that no, certain areas weren't all that dangerous.
So I mean, and I forgot to touch on this kind of in that racism last question, but. And I know you guys said earlier there's a lot of French influence on Haiti, but I know you guys both know this, but Haiti paid France 150 million francs for their freedom. Yeah. Currently, actually,
they got done paying it off not too long ago,
which is crazy. And in actuality, at this point, France should be paying them back. So I mean, I know during the World Cup, I saw a lot of Haitians cheering for France, and I had to go, hey.
That's because a lot of the French players were Haitians, and then you saw the Haitians was like, this is messed up, and they came back and played for Haiti, and guess what? They almost won the World Cup in Haiti. I mean, well, not the World Cup. It was like the whatever they call it, the CONCACAF, whatever.
I mean, whatever it is. Obviously, if you take your players back to your country, you're going to be a lot more competitive. I was going to save this for a future episode, but something as simple as the Greek Freak. If he wasn't a basketball player, that motherfucker would just be the Freak.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. He'd be some random ass black dude in fucking Greece with an African ass name.
Right.
But they wouldn't give him the Greek name and call him the Greek Freak, and he adopts that shit or Mbappe.
Yeah.
In France. Stop that shit, please. Stop that shit, because if he wasn't, having your World Cup team win shit, he'd just be some nigga somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
True. Definitely true.
And Harold, you didn't get to speak of Marshall, when was the last time you were in Haiti? What year?
Last year. Last summer.
And Harold, when were you?
Last year. We went down with a group from Mass General, a group of nurses, to do some training at a local hospital.
So for the danger thing. Now, and Marshall, you can kind of interject after this, but do you personally feel like you're in danger when you're there?
No, I mean, I don't. When I go down, it's just like, you got to be smart. I mean,
you're dark enough, they ain't attacking you anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just, although seriously, it's like, it all depends, man. You got to do your research. It's all about personal awareness. I mean, I don't tell my family. I have a tactic. I don't tell my family when I'm going out to Haiti. You know what I mean? It's a surprise when I show up.
Surprise! I got Levi's.
Yeah, I show up with 2 suitcases. Here you go. When are you leaving? I'm leaving tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Tomorrow? So damn, nigga, you just got here.
But to me, my security, my personal security, and what I do in Haiti, I really take it very, very serious. I'm traveling with people. I'm traveling with groups of people, and they're under my responsibility, so I take the proper precautions. I think it gets really dangerous when you don't know anybody and you're just going out there on a limb trying to figure things out. You got to know that there's a lot of hungry people out there, no matter where it is that you go, especially when you're going somewhere where you're living off $1 a day. You know what I mean? You just know that when you go out there and you land with your Gucci shoes and all that stuff, you're a target. You know what I'm saying, and if you're not minding your P's and Q's, it's gonna elevate. And yes, it's dangerous right now, but it's even more dangerous for the person that doesn't really take in consideration the security or the lack of security.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? And then you can become a victim. For a while, I mean, I remember when I was out there. I mean, well, there's a couple of reasons why it's dangerous now. I mean, there's no more UN forces. They've kind of diluted that. Ever since the whole cholera outbreak, they blamed it on the UN, which is true. It was the UN that did it. The Netherlands, they ousted them. So there was a whole police force right there, and then now you got a police force, the actual Haitian police force, who are on the ground, who are depleted, do not, they're outgunned. I mean, they're more apt to be corrupted, get paid off, So when you have people out there running the streets and really looking for the next food on their plate for their family, they'll do anything and everything to make sure that they get fed. So with that being said, yes, Marshall is very right. It's hard to be going down there right now because you can just become a victim just by someone seeing you get out the airport and they decide to follow your car. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, my experience has always been like, yo, it's a surprise. I only tell one person when I come down. We come down there, we do our job, and I'm out.
That's smart too, because that's how they get you. Because sometimes your families, they just
families.
get
Yeah, I mean, it's extended. It could be like there's some, fucking 10th removed cousin that's like, fuck Harold, I don't know him. I'm taking that motherfucker's goddamn Xbox.
Exactly. No, like legit. Like they'll be like, oh, maybe they may be yapping to their friends about, yo, my cousin got dough, yada yada yada, and then they tell someone else, and they run you for whatever.
Yo, you don't have to. That shit happened to me in America. My dumbass cousin was talking his ass off, and somebody came to the house and fucking stole my Xbox and all types of shit. And I was like, I was upstairs. I could have shot 5 of them. Like, what the fuck what just happened?
Yeah,
where's my Xbox at?
I mean, I've heard stories, and this is really, really relevant. I've heard stories where cousins will sit there and tell somebody, and that person will pay somebody $10 to go ahead, because this is where that person's going to be, and where that airplane's going to land. This is what they're going to be wearing, because that's the information that they share with their cousin. Hey, this is going to be wearing at the airport. Please come get me. You know what I mean? Right. And too often you hear the same story. Somebody get kidnapped, and a lot of the kidnaps would end in death, certain death. Right? It's like before it'd be like kidnapped to let you go, but now it's just like, nah. When you get kidnapped, you get the money. Even if you give the money, it's 9 times out of 10 you're gonna be killed. You know what I mean? And so now with the depleted UN, it's not out in the streets. You got the president who is corrupt, and gang members running the street. It's really hard to maneuver in Haiti without, that sense of insecurity.
Yeah, you basically gotta watch yourself. With that being said, moving on to the next question. If I was like, yo, I need some Haitian food, what is the suggestion? If I was like, yo, I need the best Haitian food that y'all got in this place, and I was either going to Haiti or a Haitian restaurant, and because you just finished Harold, Marshall goes first.
Yeah.
Somebody said in the comments, shit sounds like the U.S. 100% right. The problem is that we don't look at those small areas of the U.S. We don't look at motherfucking New Orleans. Where shit is dirty like that.
But again, we're talking about Port-au-Prince, though. Just not to bring it back, but like we're talking about like rural, like very urban, like super dense urban areas. Like
it might be more dense than anywhere in the fucking world. What is it, like a fucking 2 million people that live in Port-au-Prince, and it's supposed to be like 100,000?
Yep. It's more now. Like, so it's like people need to know that it's just that area. If you go out to the peninsula, it's not like that, right? We're talking about.
Hey, stop, motherfucker. Right. Haitian food.
Right Haitian food. Little Haiti, High Park is hands down probably.
It's the meal. What should I get to eat, Marshall? What is the best Haitian food that I should go get to eat? You stop, Harold.
Best Haitian food?
You stop.
I would say my favorite thing, man, is you have to try. I'm not gonna tell you about the what is it, the national dish with glio and banan and pickles.
Listen, banan is my shit. Niva.
My mom. Yeah, the legume, duicole, and pickles with banan. that is hands down. So legume, which is interesting. Legume, if a lot of people, it's a variation, or it's the way that we pronounce legumes. However, obviously in English, legumes means like beans and stuff like that. Legume is just vegetables, right?
All
That's
right,
very French.
as long as there's no tripe involved. When I was working at Mass General, this lady was like, "I'm gonna bring you some food." It was this old Haitian lady. She brought me some shit, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And this is kind of. Wait a minute, this is tripe, bitch. Get out of here.
Yeah, they do that for flavoring. Like they got some places still have that like that southern style of cooking. Like they eat like their own version of chitlins and all this stuff. But no, like in general, like get legume, and legume comes with like they use either crab, beef, or crab or beef. I've never really seen anyone else make legume with like pork. Have you ever? Hell, I've never. It's always been crab or beef.
It's crab or beef, yeah.
Yeah, crab or beef. So it's on point. And then the digicole, which is it really is just like beans and rice, but it's cooked together. And then with pickles, which is like a spicy coleslaw, which is absolutely bomb with fried plantains, with tostones. We say banan peze is the same thing as tostones.
Everything is bomb with tostones except for motherfucking coleslaw, because I fucking hate coleslaw. Harold, what you got for a meal?
They have mayonnaise. You like this? It's
okay.
Good. Harold
what you got, Harold?
Yeah.
You better not say the same shit.
Listen, a tasso, get a tasso with banan, or I'll do like a dili sauce pois, with some glio.
Oh,
or some
sauce pois.
Or some viand. Man, listen, my mom, that's all she, listen, I go to her house, I'll go raid the fridge, and I come home, and that's my dish for the whole entire week.
Listen, I don't want my mom made this shit. I want like, yo, Ray, I just landed in Haiti. I avoided 2 robberies. What should I get to eat?
Yeah. Now, I mean, a tasso, you can't go wrong with tasso. A tasso with some like diacole, poacole, and like some pickles. I mean, pickles go with everything.
All my Haitian people left to watch the rest of the Celtics game, so they ain't confirming this shit. Fuck y'all. Y'all better comment on YouTube.
Definitely.
On to the next. I asked this shit last episode to Osa, where I also. So if y'all watched the last episode and y'all watched this one, when I was talking about my Haitian friend that was, his mom was hating me because I was black. That's Marshall. She loves me now, by the way. I'll tell you that. She loves me to death.
That's that internalized racism. No, I'm just like this. Like
all Haitian parents, man.
But if someone wants to be, if someone's going to Haiti and something that kind of encapsulates the beauty and the culture in Haiti, where should they go?
Cap Haitian.
Really? Not anymore.
Hey, let him talk. Let Harold go. What you got?
I mean, Cap Haitian. I mean, you can go to Jacques Mel. Jacques Mel's got a lot of the beaches. You know what I mean? Or I've been to Ilavash. Ilavash is a very, very beautiful, beautiful island.
How you spell that?
Secluded. Ilavash. It's ILL and space Ilavash. Damn. I gotta get that. I'll send it to you. But we went out there and we visited an orphanage, but we stayed at a resort. And oh my God, I'll send you the video of the resort that we stayed at. It was the most beautiful. Like the sand was white, the water was like clear blue, like it was out of this world. You would think you was somewhere else.
What you got, Marshall? I know you went to a place that was like that.
Oh yeah, I did. And then from Okap.
No, first of all, nigga, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
How do you spell that shit so I can look it up?
No, I definitely don't remember how to spell it.
Y'all non-spelling motherfuckers.
IL. It's right off. It's like on the. You gotta take a boat to go.
All I see is AVIS.
Nah. I gotta look it up.
That's like Avis. Nigga, I'm not trying to rent a car.
Yeah, don't rent a car. It'll cost like $4,000.
So I'm gonna like
Shut the fuck up.
Yo, look what Ralph just posted. That's exactly how you spell it.
He put in the thing. What the? Nobody can spell that, Ralph. Fuck you. Hold on one second, because I want to post this shit. I posted it twice. God damn it.
Yeah, but Okap is that used to
Oh,
be
god damn. This is what we talking about?
it used to be beautiful.
Holy shit.
It's
Yeah.
not.
Have you
Okap
been to
is
Have
not-
you been to this place that he's talking about, Marshall?
Ilavash is a place. I highly recommend it.
No, I wanted to go there. It's one of the places I wanted to go to, but I didn't get a chance to go. We were kind of like running out of time.
This is what
But
this shit
no,
looks like. Look at this shit.
it's not the only place that looks like that. It looks
Nah, but
amazing.
that's
Hey, it's not for you. It's for people watching. This is Haiti, everybody. Believe it or not. Oh my
Yeah, there's a
god.
lot. Haiti is filled with that. Haiti's
Yeah.
filled with that.
So your turn. What you got?
So I would say like Okap, which is Cap Haïtien. It used to be the gem, but like now what they've done to like the whole strip is they've turned the strip, like literally the city is on, it's pretty much like a beach city. Like it's almost like real. Like you literally the whole thing is like a strip. But unfortunately, now the beach in downtown is literally like a landfill. Like and so a lot. I'm sorry. A lot of the trash actually flows. Like we went to this remote, smaller peninsula closer to the what do you call it? Oh man, the castle, and we went out to the island, to this remote island, and all you saw was like blue, just like that. And then all of a sudden, like when we got closer to the island, you started seeing this weird kind of like influx of like trash and debris coming from Okap. And so that area in northern Haiti, it's as beautiful as it is. It's like the whole trash situation is really effing it up. I would go to the peninsula. The peninsula where Jacmel is located, although Jacmel right now, it's not as beautiful as it used to be. They've trashed the hell out of it too.
Yeah.
Like the peninsula where Jeremy is, where Okap is. I mean, and not what's the other place? I forgot. That is where you have is where you have like the natural. You have a lot of natural formations. Bassin Bleu.
Bassin Bleu.
You've been to Bassin Bleu?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
was
they
there
just said
last
Ralph just said in the comments, Bassin Bleu.
Yeah,
Bassin Bleu.
Bassin Bleu. I showed you the video. It's so because of the sediment underneath the water, right? We have like these waterfalls. It's like sky blue. It's crazy. Like you have like lush jungle all surrounding you.
It's beautiful.
There's literally two waterfalls. And I send you some videos. I mean, I can send you some more. But
I got you.
And then that whole peninsula, you have like a lot of the farms are located there. They have one of like the nicest caves in the world. I forgot what particular type of cave it is, but have you seen?
So the cave that you're talking about, I forgot the name of the town, but the cave that you're talking about is the caves that when they were fighting the French way back then, they used that to kind of escape and hide in, and at night they would come out and attack again. And I just
put up the picture of Bassin Bleu so y'all can see.
I jumped from the peak up there.
Me too.
Yeah, crazy.
In my dreams.
I stayed at the shallow end. I wasn't going anywhere near that thing.
Oh, for real? Oh, it was crazy.
Hold on now. Listen, Harold, don't tell me you one of the motherfuckers that can't swim.
I can't swim.
Oh my God! Holy shit!
I can't swim.
This is
bro.
colorism at its finest.
That's a lot of islanders. There's a lot of Haitians that don't know how to swim.
Yeah, they don't know how to swim.
I'm one of them. I'm not from the
Listen,
island.
man, if I'm running from your police ass, I'm jumping in some water.
Go ahead. I'll call for backup.
Call me, get Michael Phelps in here. So, on to the next question.
I can't swim. Nope. I ain't gonna lie.
In your opinion, Harold, is there a Haitian movie that encapsulates your culture?
What is it? I love
an American Haitian movie.
American Haitian movie?
An American movie that has Haitians in it. Sorry, let me put it that way. Not an American. I don't even know what an American Haitian movie is.
Nothing that comes up to the top of my mind. I mean, we have that. What was it? That movie that had Will Smith and thing. Those were fake Haitians.
Bad Boys 2. Yeah,
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys 2.
Those are
Yeah,
fake
they were
Oh yeah,
Haitians.
that was no. Listen.
That
But
was
that one
bad.
dude, bald dude, was Haitian.
Yeah. He was.
Was
Everybody
one of
with
them,
the
but there
dreads
a
was
couple.
bullshit, but the one Haitian dude,
Yeah.
they got me, man. That dude was Haitian. That motherfucker was Haitian as shit.
When you said it, because no, he had the accent down packed. I really don't know, but he did have the accent. I did say the same thing. I was like, "Yo, is he? He's Haitian? So he could,
Harold. So first of all, Bad Boys 2 was in Miami.
That was
Marshall got a Miami story for your ass, boy.
Oh my
Happened,
god!
happened.
Yeah, I was in Little Haiti, man. Oh man. So I almost got killed. I honestly thought I could have died. Listen. I mean, I was there with. I was rollerblading. Number one. That's the first problem. I was rollerblading.
That's Haitian flag number one. Haitians don't rollerblade.
I had like no shirt, right? It was the time when I was trying out for like the FIU football team. And, I thought I was like, I had swag. I was just minding my business, rollerblading to visit my cousin in Little Haiti. I was wearing like no shirt, some ripped like Ricky Martin jeans. And then I saw this cat like on this Snoop Dogg bike. And by Snoop Dogg bike, I mean like with the handles all high, painted like gold, right? With like some dreads. And he's like, he's like, what you is, boy? And I'm like, thinking what I is? And I was just whipping them the whole time. And like not knowing, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, whatever. I didn't
set up.
Think of it, like not knowing where I was. I mean, I knew where I was, but I just thought I was just, I was like the dude. So, and then he called his boys. He made some kind of like cuckoo or something like that, and his boys showed up, like rolled up on me. At that point, I thought I was. And if it wasn't for my cousin, who was just like, oh no, stop it, I probably would have died. And the reason, until some the backstory of that is that apparently I didn't know during the time that the Cubans and the Haitians didn't get along because the Cubans have asylum in Haiti. Right, they get a pass when they come in. So, like when both the Cubans and the Haitians are in the raft, and they get to the shore, they usually tend to send the Haitians back, and they keep the Cubans.
Yeah,
and so,
it's like Chris Rock said, if Elian Gonzalez's ass would have been Elian Lumumba, that would have pushed that boat right back in the water.
Right. And so I didn't even know that. And so they assumed that I was Cuban because I was light skinned. And so it took me speaking Creole to get the dude to, to back off.
Real Creole, Harold.
Oh, come on, man. My Creole got good. My Creole got really good.
So listen, we got three questions. Actually, before that, have y'all seen Serpent in the Rainbow? Marshall, I know you have. Harold?
Serpent in the Rainbow.
If you haven't seen this, you ain't Haitian, goddammit. I'll end this whole fucking podcast right now.
What are you talking about? Serpent in the Rainbow? What are you talking about?
You've seen it. Do you know, did you ever see July 4th?
What kind of
Independence Day? Sorry, not the July 4th.
Independence Day. Yeah, that dude is in Independence Day. Bill Pullman. What the fuck?
Yeah, so the guy, the president in Independence Day, whatever his name is, he's the guy. He's the main character in the movie.
Okay.
You never seen it, Harold?
No, the title sounds familiar.
Hold on, this is it right here. See that?
Serpent in the Rainbow. I don't know. That don't look familiar.
Yo, so I'm craving a remake of this fucking movie, Serpent in the Rainbow. So Serpent in the Rainbow, I mean Marshall's seen it, but it's about voodoo powder they blow in your face, and it makes you look like you're dead, and they bury you, and they actually literally have to bury you with a bell so you come up. That shit's 100% true.
It is.
The powder is based on, because the movie is based on a true story. It's done by Wes Craven, who did Freddy. Serpent in the Rainbow, the voodoo powder in half the movie is actually follows them finding the ingredients for it. A big part of the ingredients is blowfish. If people don't know, in Japan, if you eat blowfish and you die, they have to wait 6 days to bury you because you might not be dead, and the machines actually can't tell if you're dead or not. So in the beginning of the movie Serpent and the Rainbow, there's a dude being buried while tears are coming out of his eyes. And this was 1988. It's a great movie. It's actually filmed in Haiti, and Bill Pullman is who Marshall's talking about, who's in fucking Independence Day, who actually is in that movie Serpent and the Rainbow. Great movie. Most Haitians have seen it. Haitians from Brooklyn have not.
Yo, fun fact: you're paralyzed. It paralyzes you apparently, and then it does it reduces like your heartbeat to to the point where you don't know that someone's alive. But the thing, so it doesn't give you a pulse. But the thing is that you feel everything actually. So it's like the worst thing ever, because it's not like you're a paraplegic where you don't feel anything. You literally feel everything, but you just can't move. Like, so it's kind of crazy. I've when I heard about it, I did my research on it. I was like, oh shit, I'm not effing with this kind of.
Oh yeah, it's real. But once again, that comes back to an idea of where we had a better, relationship with the earth and what it provides us and what we can take from it. Like, people look at it like it's black magic, but it's just regular natural shit, and people knew about it and we don't know about it. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, the whole powder thing, that's all. I mean, you have to be almost like a chemist. You have to, it's that powder's from the blowfish, and then you have to mixture it just enough so that it gives that person that kind of it won't kill him. If enough of it will kill you, but if you give them enough, it'll paralyze you and you'll feel like you're dead. So a lot of Haitians, when somebody they wouldn't know if they were possessed. They would just put them in a box and bury them. So that's why when they bury people now, they bury them in cement. They put them in walls and cement it so that they don't come out, because they used to think that people will be possessed and they'll come out. And
that motherfucker might be alive.
I know, that's the worst thing.
I know. Oh, you dead now. I don't give a fuck if you alive or not. What the fuck?
But that's
kind of shit is that?
They didn't want you. They didn't want you to come out being in that vegetative state, so they wanted to make sure that we're gonna bury you, and you make sure you're not being.
Listen, man, I don't even know if I could take your opinion now, man. You ain't even seen Serpent and the Rainbow, man.
I mean, I haven't seen Serpent and the Rainbow, but I've been exposed. I mean,
did you get the powder blown in your face? Is that what you're saying?
I've never had powder blown in my face, but I mean, Marshall, have you had powder blown?
Have you been powdered, Marshall? Listen, he's seen Serpent and the Rainbow. He doesn't have to fall victim to your shit.
Nah, but I mean, like my like growing up, and like my mother would be like, "Joe, I don't ever want you to go outside," because there would be stories about people walking in like those long stilts, and they would go around and just blow powders, and then before you know it, you'd be possessed. They would say,
"Bro, that shit's legit in the movie. Like, you need to watch the movie tomorrow." 2 more questions for the night, as we've already broken the record for the longest episode. What are the Haitian stereotypes of Black Americans?
Blanc.
Oh my gosh, it's like you've heard of it. It's all in the world. Pretty much, they're just they're rude, stupid, lazy,
bums,
and bums. Yeah. It's crazy. This, in Haitians in particular, like I said, they internalize a lot of like hatred just for skin color and everything. They actually use the same kind of like racial epithets towards like their own kind. So like a lot of macaque, when you know this, a lot of people don't know this. It's like, don't be a macaque, right? Like macaque just means a monkey, but they constantly call you like you're a monkey. Like if a white person ever called you a monkey, you'd like punch him in the face. Or like those are fighting words, right? But families will tell you like macaque. And so like African Americans, I would say like the one thing, it's like my aunt has probably said that more than anything. Like, gade macaque sa mache, right? Like look at this monkey that's walking, right? Especially if you got that's why you're walking like a certain way. And you're doing that, the limp, especially like in early 90s limp. Yeah, galimataxa, like mashe. That is probably the worst thing. And so yeah, it's pretty bad. Like my mom made sure that I was like, yo, you can't do the walk. She hated it when I first saw hip hop. Hooray! Remember like hip Naughty by Nature? Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
my song. Like I was just like hip hop hooray. Yo, she would turn the
Hip
TV
hop
off.
macaque, turn this shit off.
Oh my god, it was awful. Like that is what they think. Well, what she thought African Americans were. The way that video, the hip hop, all right, with Naughty by Nature, like the big bubble
Yeah.
jackets and all that. No, she's not about that.
Oh, Harold.
Yeah, I mean, the stereotypes, like I said, my mom was big on like, I'm not embarrassing. You always had to go to school. If you didn't go to school, you were a bum. If you if you got called from the teacher, or you're a vagabond. So it was just constant like pressure, especially being a first generation Haitian American.
I was
You know,
always
so
vagabond, right, Marshall?
Yeah,
yeah.
unfortunately.
But and then that unfortunately had to be a lot with who you hung out with. You know what I mean? So my parents would be like, who you going outside with? I'm hanging out with such and such across the street. Oh, that bum. I don't want you hanging with that bum, that vagabond that put their pants down below their pants and
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
like always swearing and stuff like that. So it was embarrassing. But that's why when you meet another Haitian that suffers the same thing that you suffer from, you guys become best friends. Snyder Simeon, my best friend. I remember when he walked into class, this dude had suspenders on with shorts that's hiked up to his thing. His mom came in. His mom came into class, was like, sit in the front, and it was like in front of everybody, and everybody started laughing and clowning him. And I understood where he was coming from because my mom did the same thing when I was in like third grade. You know what I mean? And so it's just like there's got that you never want your son or your kid to come to America and become a failure. And then if you do become a failure, that's an embarrassment. It goes back to what Marshall was saying. You never want to be embarrassed as a Haitian parent.
That's true.
And
I
so you
mean,
always
to be honest, and this isn't just with Haitian parents, but it's with, most minority parents that I've seen. The idea of what they think is a success versus what they think is a failure is just so fucking
yeah,
wrong. The
yeah,
idea of what they think is a success is, working for the person that's in charge and stability or perceived stability. That perceived
yeah,
stability could be $16 an hour. And, working fucking 80 hours a week. But what that does is that suppresses your creative genius. You could be a fucking
yeah,
genius. For all you know, you could be a fucking genius. What are you doing fucking around with them chemicals and goddamn components? You should be working valet. That doesn't make any
yeah,
fucking sense. Because I get it.
yeah,
In your eyes, it's success. But in my eyes, I'm a fucking genius. So how are we supposed to
yeah.
combat that?
I just gotta find role models, man, that's doing the same thing, that speak the same language. That's why when I do what I do and I teach and I build up the next generation, I want to show them, people that look like them that are successful in the field. You know what I mean? And if you don't have that role model, it's hard to kind of be that warrior in the family. Because if not, you'll be like, oh, you heard about what happened to their son. He's a vagabond now. He's out. He wants to be an entrepreneur. What the hell's an entrepreneur? Growing up, you're either a doctor or a lawyer. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, they don't want to hear nothing. What are you going to school for? I told my mom I want to be a doctor. And that's what I was going to school for. I went to school for basketball and criminal justice. She ain't got time to hear what criminal justice is and all that
yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? So, you can definitely, if you're a smart Haitian American, you can definitely play it so that you can articulate it so that they can understand and buy into it. But it takes some time, man. It takes some time.
I get that all the time. Ça va faire.
Yes.
Ça va Didier.
Yeah.
Mathématiques, ça va faire avec mathématiques. Mais Martial, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
stop trying to tell me.
I just say, I'm saying on docteur Mboile fait. On docteur Mboile fait, c'est ça.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Quittez me répondre. Just leave me
Well,
alone.
I mean, kind of going into the last question of the night, and I mean, I already know that where I'm at is, way more successful than anybody in my family has been, mentally and physically. Some people own houses and shit, but the place that I've kind of arrived to mentally, nobody is at in my family. And that's on the step to a level of mental freedom that nobody has in my family. So first and foremost, I say to you guys, you are very, very fucking successful. And no matter what people are telling you are, like I said, everybody on our podcast and on my podcast over the course of the weeks that I've done, and this is the 13th episode, is doing something within everything they believe to change the world and make it a better place. And with that, we'll go to the question that is the last question of the night, which is how do we close the gap between these two perceived different races, whether it be African or African American or Black in America or Native American or Jamaican or Haitian? How do we make that one?
I mean, hold on a second.
Aren't you going to get a notebook, nigga?
No. I need to charge my battery.
All right, well, I'm muting your ass, Harold.
No, I'm right here. I'm right here.
You right here.
No, so I was going to say, honestly, I think we have to start. I heard someone say this a while back. We have to start fighting over masters, right? It was a great analogy, and always talking about, Trump, Trump will do this, or so would, Biden will give us this. At the end of the day, like, it's really coming together and trying to get. First of all, you're always going to want to have to create some dialogue, right? And then upon creating that dialogue, you need to come to terms with the things that you need, like the things what's going to advance your people, like your group. And it has to be concrete. And you have to, as a collective, like, there's no one stronger than you. I mean, just in the West Coast, like forget just being Black. Like, if the Latin Americans and Blacks got together, we get anything done. But people are so caught up with, like, this whole, like, the clanship. Like, you belong to this clan, like I belong to that clan, like I belong to this group, you belong to this group, and we're so stuck on, like, our particular cultures. And I argue with my fiance about this all the time, that you miss the bigger picture. Like, divide and conquer. Like, all you really got to do is just, okay, what do you need in your community? Well, you pretty much need the same thing that I need in my community. So, all right, so let's get together. What do you need to do? Cultures aside, languages aside, let's find the common ground and then just push through. But unfortunately, I think we're not that enlightened, right? Like, it's people that get caught up on, like, the stupid stuff, like the petty stuff. It's like languages. Oh my gosh, like, he insulted me, and he did this, or like, I'm Haitian, you're Mexican, like, you're different, or like, I'll even bring it through, like, my mother. And short story, my mother, we got into an argument.
Hey, listen, your mother, we friends on Facebook. She's gonna watch this and fuck you up.
I know she is. But it's like, keep it real though. Like, keeping it real. Like, we got into this argument about me finding a house and settling in Jeremy, which is the end of the peninsula, which is beautiful, like fish town. And she was like, why? We don't have any family there. I'm like,
we could.
What? I was like, she's like, yeah, all our families. I'm like, what does it matter? It's like, it's your country. So even within the country, there's this, like, sense of pride for, like, a small community that your country it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's like, and all you really care about is one little community.
So listen, let me cut you off. Okay. Something as simple as this. You're Haitian. Harold's Haitian. Harold's from Brooklyn. You're essentially from Boston. You're from Haiti, but you're from Boston. So now y'all both Haitian. Say we talk about sports now. Harold, not that he is, but for the most part, should be a Yankees fan. You're a Red Sox fan. That's your first, right there, instance of separatism without race involved at all. Now I like the Yankees. You like the Red Sox. Now I'm in New York. Fuck Boston. I'm from this neighborhood. You're from that neighborhood. I like this type of music. You like that type of music. You separate yourself from your culture to the point where there's separatism created that has nothing to do with race after you determine your race. So now when you get to the end of it all, like somebody asked me one day, yo, do you watch college football? I said, yo, I don't even give a fuck about sports anymore. I just watch LeBron. And when LeBron's done, I might be done with sports because this shit is so stupid. It's creating separatism and it's making people hate a man that's doing everything he can for you to succeed. So now we're hating somebody that's the same skin tone as you, that went through the same shit as you, because he's on a fucking team that somebody created that's a billionaire that's telling you to hate that nigga.
Yeah, it's true. And that's the biggest issue, right? It's like what that separatism you're calling, and that longing to fit into one particular group. It kind of distances you from just humanity in general, right? And people's humanity and kind of like this the bigger picture. And that's what people want, though, right? Like powers that be, like that's generally what people want. It's like, all right, so you're arguing about trifles, and you really won't get anywhere serious, and you won't overthrow us because you're too busy trying, fighting over stupid things. So I think that's the first thing to answer the question, is to form a dialogue, establish really kind of some commonality, right? And then once you've established that commonality, just come together and just throw like the stupid culture stuff, like all that is arbitrary anyways. Like what does it, like you can make it, what the hell? You can kind of denounce like your cultures and become something entirely if you want something else entirely.
Well, with that being said, I will say that if everybody puts their culture on the table, Haiti, Africa, Jamaica, Cape Verde, you're going to see a lot of similarities. I'll tell you that right now. Without question, even like I said, I've been to Colombia. There was Africans in Colombia.
Yeah.
All of those cultural things are going to seem so similar that you'll be able to open the door for those conversations. But when you're, when you've created so many flags over so many times, it's so fucking hard to get to the table and have those conversations because there's so many distractions in front of you, preventing those conversations. Harold, what do you think? And I'll say the question again. How do we close the gap between those two perceived, I'll say it like this, perceived races of, Black Americans and Haitians?
I think just it just has to be with dialogue. I mean, like how I went about it, especially with my organization, was just more or less like going out there and doing the work that I do, but being transparent, knowing that fact that I'm not Haitian, but I also represent the culture. I understand the culture. So having that commonality, like Marshall said, where I understand the culture, I'm here to do good, and you're gonna get that 1 or 2 or 3 champions to kind of get by your side and help push you. And once you identify those champions and who gonna sit there and be your voice, you're gonna do, you're gonna go farther than you've ever gone. So identifying. So if I were to chop it up to keep it short and sweet, identify a champion who has the same personality and same mindset as you, that represents that culture. Work together collaboratively, then go out to where the community are, showcase that commonality in that interaction, and you'll see a change. You'll see people being more receptive and accepting you and what it is that you're trying to bring to the table.
That statement, both those statements were perfect, and kind of what I would take from both those statements at the end of this episode is to say that from everything we've learned today in this episode is to fucking curb your embarrassment for the people that you actually love and that you think are the people that will help you move forward in the world, and put all your shit on the table so that we can compare kind of the experiences that we've been through, the culture that we've experienced, and that we can see that, there's not as many differences as one might think there are. And there's not some fucking all-encompassing need to please whoever we might, think is in charge. Because at the end of the day, we got an educator, a person that owns a nonprofit, and I know I spoke with Jeff, who I'm going to have on a future episode, is a commercial realtor that's about to open, one of the top first 5 dispensaries in Massachusetts. So, and Haitian. So, when we kind of encounter and take into account what everybody is accomplishing, and we put that together as one person and kind of a power circle, we're able to accomplish things that we never thought were possible. A lot more than, valet parking cars for 30 years, because we creating mathematics and creating different aspects of what the world stands on now are a lot bigger than what we've been told to believe we are. If you got that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll close the night on that. And fellas, man, you guys definitely delivered, and you gave a lot of info, and hopefully a lot of people listen to this shit and we move forward, because that was definitely a great episode. It's the longest. We're going on almost 2 hours. Thank you guys for joining, and thank you for dropping the info that you dropped tonight.
Yeah, I just want to get listen, Ray, I just want to say congratulations, man. This is your 13th episode. Thanks for having me. You're doing wonderful work, man. This is part of what you're trying to do right here, right? It's to present this dialogue, break barriers, bring people together, continue doing what you're going to do. You're going to get haters. The more haters, the better. That means you're doing something right, and you're doing it great. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing forward. I'm supporting you 100%, man. And can I get one of those shirts? Where do I get one of those shirts, man?
What you got to? First of all, Doobie. You got to hit him up.
All right, that's what's up.
He was on your second coming of Charlestown when Donnie beat y'all up.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. You got any closing statements, Marshall?
Well, no, I mean, I second that, man. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. It's really nice. It's good to kind of like air out everything that we essentially talk about privately. So it's I hope I don't get in trouble. I'm old enough that I don't care about ass whoopings anymore.
I'm sending this shit to your mom tonight, so you're getting fucked up. Thank you, fellas. Have a good night. Marsh and Ralph Nabule. We out. Check the comments.